that they'll have to come to terms with. The easier ones, you'll see that right across in other polls. It is, one nation, one poll, they'll get massive support. Uniform civil code, they get massive support. But when it comes to these tricky issues, this is where Modi's third term will become even more difficult to navigate than his first two.
But the report suggests there is a column on caste, the caste census, which is the census, which is
that was there in 2011 also.
But whether you'll make it, they didn't make it public. Then the question is, will you make it public? The fact is, the process will be ready in 18 months. Who knows with Narendra Modi? Whether by 2026 he sees the possibility that I will trump my rivals by saying, okay, I'm going ahead and
Rajat, what's your reading within the BJP? Will they go ahead and do this caste census? Will they make the details public?
Again, I would agree with Rajdeep. It is dependent on a lot of intermediary events that happen. If they are able to consolidate a couple of states in these 4 elections and they're able to do something in Bihar as well, if they win Bihar, I don't think they would go with a caste census. If things start changing even there, Prime Minister Modi will do everything under his right to actually go back and course correct on the Samajwadi issue.
Let me show the response to that question. We ask people this question: should there be a caste census? And I want to compare with the last poll because it shows how the mood has changed. 59% earlier said yes, there should be a caste census. That's now gone up by 15% to 74. Earlier, 28% said no, there shouldn't be a caste census. That's now come down. So what that shows is that there is a polarization of opinion, not just among BJP supporters, because that's only 37% of the national vote. 74% Yashwant Deshmukh are saying hona chahiye caste census.
Because they feel like, do it. I mean, what are you fearing of? I mean, it's more like, because the thing is, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe were always taken part as the census details. You get all the details and each and every caste within the scheduled tribe and scheduled caste. Now it is only a question of adding the OBC part of it. It might be a political issue for you for implementation on the issues of reservation and everything. But as far as the common man is concerned, getting him or her counted, and big number, almost 50% of this population belongs to that OBC category in that way. That way. So for them, it is a question, okay, what's the problem? I am.
No, but there are many problems.
I tell you, it's a political problem. It's what they say, it's a political problem for you. It's not a problem for me. You ask me, I am willing to tell my caste. So it's a problem for you, you are asking it or not. So
But Sanjay Jha, if it's so simple, why can't the Congress begin by implementing it in Karnataka? You already have a state government, you have a poll over there, the poll has been done, you have the caste data, make it public.
Well, Rahul, I have never quite understood why this data is not made public. And for the simple reason that if you look at the Bihar caste survey that was done, it was pretty apparent that this is a matter that should concern all of us. I mean, the data was disturbing. 85% of the people are backward, 15% are forward. That's pretty much as we expected. But look at the number of people who are graduates, 7%, postgraduates, 1%. 4% of the people having two-wheelers and 1% of the people having cars. I mean, tells you that the level of aggravated inequality in this country should worry us all. And I haven't understood why politicians in this country don't bite the bullet, because they will have to. It will make you frame better policies.
You see hypocrisy here, that in Karnataka where there is a caste census, it's not made public, and Rahul Gandhi is claiming everywhere else, karo re khud kiya hua usi ko public karo.
Did the caste census and selectively leaked the part of it which said that Vokaligas are, Lingayats are not 18-17%, only 12%. So there was also selective leak of that caste census when Siddaramaiah was last time Chief Minister.
Rahul, in Indian politics, where you stand depends on where you sit. It's very simple. In 2009, when Veerappa Moily was trying to drive the whole caste census through the Congress party, there was resistance because there was a feeling that this would open up a Pandora's box. The moment you're in opposition, you realize that this is an opportunity for you to project yourself as a party that stands for the OBCs in particular. I think one of the biggest changes in Indian politics in the last 10 years or 20 years now is the OBCization of Indian politics. And where Narendra Modi has really dramatically changed the BJP's fortunes, is made the BJP much more of an OBC party than it ever was in the Vajpayee-Advani era. Now the Congress needed to compete with that. How do you compete with that? You tell the OBCs, look, jitni abadi utna haq. and you'd completely try and change the narrative and therefore make caste census central to your political agenda. You didn't do it in government, you do it in opposition. And Siddaramaiah knows that if he is to bring out the caste census, it will unleash all kinds of forces in Karnataka, Vokaligas, Lingayats, Kurubas, and will you be able to handle it?
But then Siddaramaiah should speak to Rahul Gandhi and explain the problems in doing it.
Look, as I said at the very outset, where you stand depends on where you sit. And I think one of the challenges in handling, I don't think personally there's anything wrong, and there should be, as a pure academic exercise, at least
As a
a
data
caste
scientist
census.
as well.
I mean, in Maharashtra, all kinds of numbers are being thrown up as to what is the Maratha population.
No, but there is a problem.
Nobody knows the exact number.
It's not that simple. I'll tell you why. Because there are many people who will claim to be of a particular caste. When the census happens, you can give any caste, right? Now, the enumerator who comes, how is he qualified to verify what caste? If I want to claim we can't, but I'm saying the other people who will claim to be, say, a tribal or a Dalit or an OBC, and they'll all want to be in that category, which is what happened in 2011.
Rahul, if you want, where there is a will, there is a way. My problem in Indian politics is so polarized that the moment you are in opposition, you say one thing, when you are in government, you say the other, and the other side does exactly the opposite. You don't want to give you don't want to give your opponent even the slightest political advantage on what ideally should be issues that should be discussed by dialogue.
So this
in
is
Parliament.
even Chidambaram, for that matter, when he was looking after the census efforts, he came out with an intellectual justification. What Rahul is actually saying here, that you cannot in a guaranteed way say that the data that you have acquired is actually correct, legitimate, because who is claiming to what caste? They might be saying that this
Mr. Chidambaram is the head of the manifesto committee of the
opposition. And by the way, this caste bogey, this started off with Christoph Jefferlot writing articles after articles in Indian Express, and I think the core think tank of the Congress party believed that perhaps this is the only plan that they need to stick on, and they have been sticking, and they have now forced Prime Minister Modi also to a great extent to come out of this Hindutva Rashtravad image and combine Samajwad in his overall thing.
No, he's absolutely right. This is what I have heard, that there's an intellectual group of intellectuals which convinced the Congress leadership that if you want to compete with Hindutva, the only way you can do it is by raising
going
caste
beyond
consciousness.
That's how politics is beyond politics. I think what the common man also understands or says, or likes to say in here, you have an affirmative action policy in place, constitutionally in place. You need to have numbers to implement that. You cannot implement affirmative action without numbers, without data. So there is a strong case that if you want, either you remove that entire affirmative action policy from the constitutional obligation, or if you want to implement it, then you need to
all
have
of us on this
data.
table, and all of us in the studio are speaking as up. And please look at it from an OBC perspective. They are the majority. OBC plus Dalits plus Adivasi are the majority. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, I'm OBC in 3 states.
Yeah, in 3 states, but not in your.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Not in your own state. Not no. So you may want.
What do you mean own state? I'm OBC in 3 states.
I'm not even sure because even I have minorities in Deshmukh.
Therefore, Rahul, those who feel left out, it again comes down. A lot of it, and Sanjay Jha alluded to it, inequality is an issue. Across this country, it reflects in different ways. Some believe that a caste census would resolve their inequality issue. It's like reservations. At the end of the day, there are large numbers of people who see reservations as the only weapon by which they can have something remotely like a level playing field. So while we sit here in the studio with our, dare I say, upper caste privilege and say, do we need a caste census? Will it open up all these fault lines? There may be others out there who genuinely believe that this is the only way that they will have anything like a level playing field.
It's good politics, but bad economics. And they're massive.
They're politicians, they're not economists.
They don't care about economics. And I think Prime Minister Modi would be the first one to dish away the economic logic if it comes to any threat that comes to his core politics.
I'll give you an example.
I believe
After
that
10 years
subjects like
today,
Rohini Commission, all of these things you will hear much, much more. Because once this caste survey and those data will trickle in, he would want to see some kind of a pivot around which he can come in and become a greater messiah of all these sub-reservations within the reservation
No, but
class.
can I just explain?
Rahul, just to say, today Prime Minister Modi is to meet Union of Government Employees for the first time in 10 years. What's on the mandate? Do we bring back the old pension scheme or not? Look,
Yeah,
this
the
is
PS scheme,
how
that's the
politicians are. they sense, they will have to be flexible if the reality on the ground changes. You adapt to the reality.
Can I just explain
Rahul,
without any...
He's speaking as the business today man.
No. Without any upper caste privilege or any such thing being involved, just from a practical administration perspective, you come to a marginal upper caste, right? Not those who are doing very well, who for all economic purposes feel that they are low caste but happen to be classified as upper caste. When you come and do that, like for example, Ganchi Teli in Gujarat wasn't OBC earlier, it became OBC later, right? So there's a big debate about where you classify them. They'll all start classifying themselves as OBCs.
But look
so
at
the
how this
percentage of
you're right,
OBCs...
Rahul, look at what happened. Let me tell you politically how it happens in this country. The BJP lost, just a minute, BJP lost Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh in 2019, in 2018 December. What was one of the first things they did? They went and ensured that the economically disadvantaged group, irrespective of caste, got reservations. What did our Supreme Court do? Despite the 50% rule that is there otherwise, they allowed it. Please understand how this country works. Will you allow it tomorrow when there is debate, when the backward castes in different parts of the country say, jitni abadi utna, then you'll say, nahi, 50% hai. But the moment it came to economically disadvantaged group, which is a fair way to look at it. I am an upper caste person of low income, why should I not get reservations?
There is huge
but you gave
support.
it.
But there is already the 10% for you.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
you are that
There is huge support for the idea. There is huge support for the idea that reservation base should be the economic criteria. There is huge support for the idea for that as well. So, see, what the
Huge support from whom?
even among the OBCs.
Sir,
It's
you are
only
seeing...
amongst the OBCs.
Okay, can
Yesterday you had a
I,
Bharat
very
Bandh
quickly,
against it.
what is the biggest
You had a
confrontation
Bharat
going to
Bandh
take place
against
in the
it.
country? Over this Supreme Court creamy layer.
Yeah.
The fact is the Supreme Court has gone and said, and many would believe on economic criteria, it's the right thing to say. But out there, every political party
Okay,
associated
no, every
with
SC/ST group is
that's
against
right.
it.
Yeah,
Yesterday the whole
I
Bharat
am
Bandh
not
was
going to-
against
I'm
it.
not
It is
going to
going
give
to
up
be
my
relatively
privileges.
easy within the OBC.
Sorry?
That will be creamy layer might be difficult in the SC communities as such, but
But
you know,
OBC would be
reservation
very
within
clear.
reservation in the OBC category is a much more viable
Much more
political
viable
project,
point. Yeah,
and but
you
something
are
that
right.
BJP would want to tag along and ensure that
But you
Rohini
are seeing
Commission.
even on that, even there you are seeing in Maharashtra the battle lines that are being drawn between
Even in
Kurmis and
Karnataka,
Marathas
the
over that.
Bokaligas Lingayats say that we want to be part
I'm
of the
just saying
OBC.
these are very, very tricky issues.
But
Very tricky.
Can I come to the next
Rahul,
question?
I
This is
think
to do because we
for
need to keep moving on. So do you support the idea of one nation, one poll? 72% of the respondents say yes, they support the idea of one nation, one poll. 25% say no. Earlier it was 66, now it's 72, so it's actually gone up. I don't support the idea of one nation, one poll. I want fewer polls for sure, but there should be polls.
Yeah, but this is not an emotive issue. This is not an emotive issue. So therefore, you know, which way the public sentiment go, it is not going to convert into votes. The other issues are highly emotive and skin in the game issues.
No, but
from a public
elections keep a
standpoint-
check on
from
governments
a public standpoint, this
and they
data
keep
point
us in
is
business.
less.
You know, if we didn't have, what will we do? If there's a poll,
Exactly.
ये दिमाग का क्वेश्चन है, दिल का क्वेश्चन नहीं है. I think public is like fed up with debate too many election. I think
In fact,
constant
very interesting.
campaign of the politicians.
I am
is
very
what
strongly
people
opposed
are
to the idea of
generally
one
fed up
nation,
No,
one
we all are for different reasons, possibly including our jobs. But Rahul, this is precisely where I think somewhere the BJP, astute party that it is, lost the narrative of 2024 because for the very reason, one nation, one poll they pushed in September last year on the very day that the India Alliance was meeting in Mumbai. But it didn't really strike a chord with the common masses because it's not an emotive issue. Even the issue of Viksit Bharat. You see, what is Viksit Bharat 2047? I want to know what is going to happen to me in 6 months. The Prime Minister is trying to spin it and he's entitled to it, to tell you what will be Bharat look like in 2047. But it's not an emotive issue.
That's what you're saying.
The
People are
problem
more
that the
expecting-
BJP is having at the moment
Yeah,
with
they
all
don't have
these
any
issues, including
emotive
one nation, one poll, how do I strike an emotional chord? Whether we like it or not, this caste census on the other hand, became for many people, yaar, isse mujhe fayda
Sheila
hoga.
want to make a point.
Yes.
No, I just wanted to say that
Absolutely.
India
There's
is
nothing emotional left in
irreversibly
BJP.
polarized, and such issues will never see its logical end. And particularly caste census, whichever the figures come, it will be rejected by one set of people.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm saying that we are only going round and round, and these will go on for generations.
Should a uniform civil code be implemented again? The percentage of people supporting UCC has jumped up sharply. If you see for the last 4 polls, it was always in the mid-60s. 66% in August 2022, 69% in January 23, 62, 63, now it's jumped up to 76. Those who are saying no has come down to 16. So much more support now for the idea that there should be a uniform civil code. It's heading in that direction. Sanjay Jha, from the Congress's lens, the fact that 3/4 of the respondents want a UCC, this is something the opposition is pushing back against, but there seems to be popular support for the idea.
See, Rahul, if you look at the UCC and as it's called as a directive principle, it basically also assumes that there's an empowerment that the citizens need to have a common code. The problem with Mr. Modi's government is that for them, any such amendment must have a direct and an immediate political ramification. I mean, I found it absolutely amusing and astonishing at the same time that Mr. Modi started calling it the secular civil code. It's as if he tried to mock the very founders of the constitution for trying to play a sectarian game, which is like awful politics, is very dangerous politics. And I think that is where the pushback will happen. I'm not convinced that Mr. Modi's government is capable of building in all stakeholders together. They would like to keep the pot boiling as long as they can, simply because it gives them an agenda to continue to play their polarization game. But actually, it is a need of the hour. There's nothing wrong with it, provided you're able to bring everyone together, which should be the job of the Prime Minister, being pragmatic, compassionate, and most important, inclusive.
Last question. Is democracy in danger? Till the 4th of June, many thought democracy was in danger. Suddenly now the percentage of those who think democracy is in danger has actually come down. No, earlier was 39%, that's now jumped up to 40%, 50%. Yes was 46%, at its peak it was 50%, now is down to 42%. I think after the results, across political lines, people say, nahi, ab khatra nahi hai democracy, ab theek ho gaya democracy.
Should have been more.
It's the last frequently asked question that I answer, if I may finally plug my book. In my epilogue, is democracy...
Kab aa rahi sir, book aapki?
October, late October, but that's the final question I raise. And I think we need to make a distinction here between electoral democracy and constitutional democracy. In my view, electoral democracy in terms of competitive politics is still alive, as we saw even in the 2024 elections. I think constitutional democracy in terms of our institutions, their abilities to act as checks and balances, is something which concerns me, whether it's judiciary, whether it's media, whether it's enforcement agencies. And I think therefore we need to make that distinction between electoral democracy, which is alive and well, and constitutional democracy, where I have a few reservations. Even on electoral democracy, I feel we do not have truly a level playing field in the sense of money, power.
No, if the BJP loses, then it's level playing field. If BJP doesn't lose, then it's not level.
Not at all. When the Congress was in power, this has been whoever has been in power has tended to misuse their authority to somehow or the other ensure a non-level playing field.
Okay.
When I look at the US elections, the big difference that I see, when you give the Democrats equal time for their convention and you'll give the Republicans equal time on their convention. I hope the day will come in this country when all the political parties will have equal time on television, when the Election Commission will be a true neutral umpire, and when money in some way is equally available to all the contending
Final
parties.
words, Sanjay Jha, as you wrap up this long marathon broadcast around the mood of the nation, what stood out for you most? What concerned you the most? What gave you the greatest joy? Your final sense of the India Today Mood of the Nation poll. Sanjay.
Rahul, I'll keep it brief. I'm very optimistic about India. And even before the 2024 election results, I'm glad we talked about reservations on your program, because that, besides the politics, is a constitutional mandate, because I think we are a beautiful country, a very diverse country, and I think we need to celebrate that. My personal feeling after hearing some of the observations is that Indian politicians are being challenged. Mr. Modi was seen as infallible. I mean, the authoritarian, very popular leader, extremely charismatic, who could go on forever. I mean, there is a pause and there's a pushback, and probably I think the whole imagery is dented. And I think that tells you that eventually the power will be with the people, and they will speak from time to time. And they will send messages. I think Gen Z, we haven't talked about them, Rahul, but I feel Gen Z, the new young of India, are not happy with what is given to them. They are questioning people. And therefore, I want to wrap up by
Rajat
saying to all
Sethi,
politicians,
final words from
I
you.
want to be slightly bipartisan here. There is,
Complete what you're saying, Sanjay. 10 seconds.
my simple point is I'm very optimistic about India, and I think politicians need to be questioned more than they have been so far.
What's your one final takeaway from the mood of the nation?
I think BJP's core cookbook for Indian politics, the core agendas, emotional agendas have been achieved. What is the next act? You need to outweigh, be creative around it, be more appealing to the newer set of voters, newer bulge of demography that is coming in, reorient yourself. I think the first 10 years we've seen fabulous amount of governance, stable polity, etc. These next 5 years do not promise to be that stable. Therefore, the BJP, and led by Prime Minister Modi, will have to be extremely creative and on their feet to constantly innovate and do not give space for the opposition.
Preeti.
Well, I think the mood of the nation is shifting. If you just look at the data that you've got, you look at how it's changed. Even if you talk about the caste census, how dramatically it shifted. You look at the MSP, how dramatically it shifted there. Even the political micro data points, Rahul, I feel suggest to me that the mood of the nation is shifting, not dramatically, but it is.
Sheila.
I think anxiety and stress level has increased so much.
For whom?
For everybody across the all.
Why are you
section of-
anxious and stressful?
Of course, very much. It's you can't go for shopping the way many years back we were used to shop and all. Everything costs money and much higher. So I think if given, I don't have an access to Prime Minister, but if I had, I would tell him that out of 24 hours, all working hours of the day, he should just attend economy.
Attend to the economy.
Yeah.
Rahul, public perception is all about dil aur dimag ki jang. Once the emotive issues are on the higher side, then the economic issues, they're all on the back burner. But once the emotive issues are down or the economic distress is on the higher side, then emotions don't really work. People think about they're running the kitchens first, just like Sheila mentioned that many people look at the way, is my quality of life is the same as it used to be. So people are eternally optimist. India is eternally optimist that things अच्छे दिन आएंगे. All right. लेकिन क्या अच्छे दिन आ गए हैं? इसके ऊपर there is a variety of shades of opinion on that. But at this point of time, if I have to tell the ruling class to look into, it would be one and only one thing, that's the economic distress.
Okay.
Do something about it. Otherwise, emotions have only a kind of a, only to certain extent it worked. After that, the hard economics hits you.
Rajdeep, final takeaway.
I think what has happened, Rahul, is that this country has gone through 5 bruising years. 2 years of it went in COVID. There was lots of legislation that was polarizing. You saw farmers on the street. You've seen students coming on the street on paper leaks. It's been a bruising 5 years, and a lot of people have lost out. Stagnant incomes, for example, even as they see before them a billionaire Raj. So you've got a billionaire Raj on one side and you've got stagnant incomes on the other. And I think while people have trust in Mr. Modi, as your survey shows, in terms of the fact that he remains Neta number 1, there's also a hankering for change, hankering for new ideas, new ways, a new imagination. People want a new image. Nothing is permanent, Rahul. And therefore, I think I contrast your mood of the nation 2024 with mood of the nation 2019 August. Then there was a sense of euphoria that Mr. Modi was going to take us into the 21st century in a manner that we'd never seen. I think some of that euphoria has dimmed. Some pragmatism has set in. I agree with Yashwant that this remains a very optimistic country. But the optimism always needs to be tempered with realism. And I think somewhere some of the arrogance that had crept in to those in power over the last 5 years are getting a reality check. In that sense, this mood of the nation offers a bit of reality check to all sides, to be a little bit more humble, rooted, and care for the last man or last woman on the street of this country.
I'll give a cricketing analogy as we end. For the last 10 years, it's been one-way traffic. You've got a lousy bowling attack, bowling lollipops, and the BJP's been hitting ball after ball out of the park and scoring century after century. Post these results, the scenario has changed. The bowling attack is more lethal. They have some boomrahs in there who are moving it around the park. And remember though, you still have the best batsman on the crease. This poll shows the popularity and the rating of Prime Minister Modi more than double that of his prime opponent. You've got strong opponents now. You've still got good batsmen. The question though is, can they bat in a very different pitch? They're having a different bowling attack a different pitch. The circumstances has changed. The audience is now more hostile. So you have a very interesting cricket match on, which is why the best place to be is as a commentator on India Today TV, where you have no skin in the game. Everybody's only going to give you galis, which is fine. But if you've got no skin in the game, it's a good time to be a journalist, good time to be watching television as well, and let them duke it out.
We will wait and see what the next mood of the nation offers, because remember that will be January of 2025, and that will be after we've had at least 3 major assembly elections, and each of them could throw up some surprise or the other. So plenty to look forward to. Thanks very much to all our guests, and thanks very much for watching.
Goodbye. See you.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है। मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
As I see here, scores of doctors. It's an endless line here right behind me. The rally has nearly 1,000 or maybe more. They're raising slogans. They're mounting pressure on the West Bengal government, on the CBI, on the central government, on the court. We're looking at the kind of protest today that we've never seen before. It was a planned protest that's been launched, but let me get you voices here from those popular sporting personalities here in West Bengal. This is Nabila Jamal signing off right from here on the streets of Kolkata with camera person Pawan for India Today.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting. Only on India Today TV.
are watching India Today.
BJP MP from Mandi in Himachal Pradesh, Kangana Ranaut, finds herself in the eye of a storm, this time over her remarks on the 2020 farmers' protests and linking it to protests and riots in Bangladesh. The actor turned member of parliament's remarks have triggered a massive backlash, not just from the opposition, but some within her own party, cautioning her against remarks like this. The Congress, of course, is demanding an apology.
यहाँ पे जो फार्मर्स प्रोटेस्ट हुए वहाँ पे लाशें लटकी थी, वहाँ पे रेप हो रहे थे.
The queen of controversies has ignited a fresh row.
जो बांग्लादेश में हुआ ना वो यहाँ होते हुए भी देर नहीं लगनी थी.
Kangana Ranaut compared the 2020 farm laws protest to the Bangladesh riots. The BJP MP said bodies were seen hanging and rapes were taking place during the stir.
China, America, इस तरह की जो विदेशी जो शक्तियां हैं वो यहाँ काम कर रही हैं.
And alleged the role of foreign powers behind the unrest.
जो बांग्लादेश में हुआ ना वो यहाँ होते हुए भी देर नहीं लगनी थी. अगर हमारे इतने शीर्ष नेतृत्व जो हमारे इतने सशक्त नहीं होते, यहाँ पे जो फार्मर्स प्रोटेस्ट हुए वहाँ पे लाशें लटकी थी, वहाँ पे रेप हो रहे थे. और जब वो किसानों के हितकारी बिल जो वापस लिए गए थे तो पूरा देश जो है वो चौंक गया था. और वो किसान आज भी वहां बैठे हुए हैं. उन्होंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं ये बिल वापस होगा। वो बड़ी लंबी प्लानिंग थी जैसे बांग्लादेश में हुई है। तो इस तरह के षड्यंत्र, और आपको क्या लगता है किसानों, चाइना, अमेरिका, इस तरह की जो विदेशी जो शक्तियां हैं वो यहाँ काम कर रही हैं।
Kangna's statement drew the ire of her own party members.
मैं समझदा कंगना जो बोल रही है ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਸਲਾ ਔਰ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਭਾਜਪਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਮੋਦੀ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਇਨਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਧੀਆਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਹਮਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਨਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਲਾਠੀ ਚੱਲਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਡੰਡਾ, ਇਹ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਟਿੱਪਣੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਕਿ ਕੰਗਨਾ ਰਣੌਤ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਮਸਲਾ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀ ਕਰਨ।
BJP cracked the whip on Kangna and in a statement said they distanced themselves from the MP's remarks and asked her to refrain from making unauthorized statements in the future. An infuriated Congress has demanded an apology from the BJP MP.
आज़ाद हिंदुस्तान में अन्नदाताओं को बलात्कारी और हत्यारा पहले कभी नहीं कहा गया है। ये बीजेपी की सांसद हैं, नेतृत्व की बहुत चुनी हुई हैं और उन्होंने इन शब्दों का प्रयोग किया है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ये कह के पलड़ा बिल्कुल नहीं झाड़ सकती है कि ये हमारा मत नहीं है, ये उनका वक्तव्य है।
Farmer bodies like the SKM has condemned the remarks and asked for an apology from Prime Minister Modi himself. To add to Kangna's troubles, her recent film Emergency has come under fire from Sikh organizations. An Australia-based Sikh council has demanded a ban on the release in the country over the portrayal of Bhindranwala as a terrorist in the film. Earlier, the SGPC and Sri Akal Takht Sahib had also sought a ban on Emergency. Renaud's comments come at an awkward time for the BJP, with assembly elections in Haryana just weeks away. Her remarks could further inflame farmers' outrage against the BJP, potentially impacting the party's poll prospects in the state. Bureau Report, India Today.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath stoked a huge controversy with his Hindu batenge to katenge remark. In a clarion call for Hindus to unite, the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister said Hindus must unite or India will face the same fate as Bangladesh. This has triggered a massive response from the opposition that accused Yogi Adityanath of divisive politics ahead of elections.
जब हम एक रहेंगे, नेक रहेंगे, तभी नेक रहेंगे। बटेंगे तो कटेंगे।
Uttar Pradesh CM Yogi Adityanath's blunt message, ostensibly aimed at Hindus of India, saying, "Batenge to katenge, or you will perish if you get divided," warning against suffering a Bangladesh-like fate, where Islamists had gone on a rampage targeting minority Hindus after Sheikh Hasina regime was overthrown.
बहनों और भाइयों, राष्ट्र से बढ़कर के कुछ नहीं हो सकता, कुछ नहीं हो सकता, और राष्ट्र तब सशक्त होगा जब हम एक रहेंगे, नेक रहेंगे, तभी नेक रहेंगे। बटेंगे तो कटेंगे। आप देख रहे हैं ना, बांग्लादेश में देख रहे हो ना, तो वो गलतियां यहां नहीं होनी चाहिए। बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, एक रहेंगे तो नेक रहेंगे।
BJP defended Yogi's remark, saying that unity is the need of hour for safety and security of India.
Whatever Yogi Adityanath ji has said, he has aptly said. If we Hindus are not going to be united, very soon we are going to see the same consequences which we have seen in Bangladesh in today's state. The political party like Congress or the political party who follow the same ideology, and especially if I talk about the ideology of Britishers, divide and rule, which Congress party, a political party which was being handmade by the Britishers to divide our country, they are doing till date.
Opposition shot back at CM Yogi, calling it a divisive ploy to grab power.
वो प्रधानमंत्री बनना चाहते हैं, कम से कम प्रधानमंत्री का रोल उन्हें नहीं प्ले करना चाहिए। ये काम प्रधानमंत्री जी का है, भारत सरकार का है कि दुनिया में किस देश के साथ कैसे संबंध रखना है। ये पहली बार नहीं मुख्यमंत्री जी कर रहे हैं, मुख्यमंत्री जी पहले भी कह चुके हैं। मुझे उम्मीद है कि दिल्ली वाले इन्हें समझाएंगे कि दिल्ली वाले फैसलों पर वो हस्तक्षेप न करें।
खुद वो भारत की बेइज्जती कर रहे हैं, भारत को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं बांग्लादेश से। क्या वो ये कहना चाहते हैं कि भारत में इलेक्शंस रिग होते हैं? क्या वो ये कहना चाहते हैं कि नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार अनस्टेबल है?
Yogi had earlier slammed the opposition of raking up the war in Gaza, but staying silent on plight of Bangladeshi Hindu minority.
जो लोग दुनिया के अंदर अन्य मुद्दों पर बोलते हैं, मुखर होकर के बोलते हैं, उनको फिलिस्तीन दिखाई देता है, लेकिन बांग्लादेश नहीं दिखाई देता। उनको दुनिया के अंदर अन्य जगह दिखाई देती है, लेकिन बांग्लादेश नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है, क्योंकि वहां मंदिर तोड़े जा रहे हैं और हिंदू मारा जा रहा है।
Yogi's butenge to katenge warning. Is it a divisive ploy, pitting one community against another, or a timely call to action to avoid upheaval and ultimate destruction? Bureau Report, India Today.
VVIP privileges behind bars for Kannada actor and murder accused Darshan. From coffee to cigarettes to lounging under the sun with other history sheeters. This is India Today that first exposed this VVIP treatment for Darshan inside Bengaluru's central prison. India Today's report forced action by the Siddaramaiah government with heads rolling at the prison. Sources now say Darshan may be transferred to another prison in the state.
A coffee mug in his right hand, cigarette in his left hand. A relaxed conversation with a group of 3 people. This picture of murder accused actor Darshan sitting with rowdy sheeter Wilson Garden Naga, co-accused Kulla Sina and his manager Nagaraj has now snowballed into a huge controversy. The photo was allegedly taken inside the Parapanna Agrahara prison. Another video accessed by India Today, Darshan along with rowdy sheeter Dharma can be seen speaking to another criminal Satya, who is now out of jail, on a video call. Wilson Garden Naga, who was spotted with Darshan, is a dreaded gangster and a murder accused. He used to mediate in real estate disputes and was booked by state police under the Gangsters Act. Naga was also a prime accused in 8 murder cases. Another rowdy sheeter, Dharma, is seen in a video call allegedly made from the jail. Dharma is accused of murdering another rowdy sheeter recently. He was also booked by state police under the Gangsters Act. Satya, who featured in the video call, was recently released from jail. He was imprisoned for a minor offence. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has directed authorities to shift Darshan and other suspects to different barracks.
But there is a lapse on the part of the officers concerned. ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರನ್ನು ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಹೋಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾರು ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಯಾರು ನೋಡಿ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
State Home Minister M.G. Parmeshwara issued orders suspending prison officials and sought a report from the DG after India Today exposed the rot in jail.
Every point of time, there are people who head this prison to take care of this prison. It is those people the negligence happens. Like this incident, it has happened. So we will take all the necessary precautions. That is why we have suspended the senior-most officers.
Sources say the government will move Darshan either to Belagavi or Bellary district jail. While the Congress government said that an internal inquiry was already underway, the BJP demanded a judicial probe.
सस्पेंड कॉमन हो गया 10-15 दिन के बाद उनको सस्पेंशन से हटाने के बाद वो ड्यूटी में ज्वाइन हो जाते हैं। सीटिंग जज का इंक्वायरी होना चाहिए क्योंकि एक गंभीर घटना है।
This has not been endorsed by the government. It might have happened because of some local adjustments with the local prisons in charge or whatever it is. The Home Minister has ordered an internal inquiry.
The latest pictures of Darshan's bonhomie with gangsters has raised serious questions over security lapses in jail. Darshan is accused in the murder of Renuka Swamy, a fan who was allegedly stalking the actor's partner Pavitra Gowda. Pavitra, an actor, is also an accused in the Renuka Swamy murder case. With Anaga Keshav, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, that is all we have time for on this broadcast. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है। मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola.